Something we often get asked on Ask GMBN is, what sort of bike do I need to ride a bike park? Well, the truth is you can ride a bike park on most types of mountain bike. Right here, I've got my Enduro bike and I'm going to show you my top tips on setting one up just to ride bike parks. I want to take you through my contact points first. So that is where my hands are, my bum is, and where my feet are on the bike. Up front, I've got the high rise option in a full 800mm width bar. Not everyone needs a bar this wide, but I'm quite tall and it just suits the bike really well, having the bigger wheels. I like the high rise option because I like the way the bike feels like this. I get my position further backwards and it just gives a good feel on the bike. The most important thing really here is the brake lever position. Now I run these really quite high compared to a lot of my friends. This is really good on your hands because you actually put a lot of your weight directly onto the heel of your hands rather than on your thumb, which you would normally use on steeper descents. So it takes a lot of the strain away and really tries to get you away from arm pump, which you get on those longer runs. I also like to run my levers quite inboard, so I'm braking right on the end of my finger here. And I also like this to feel quite close to the bar, so that's the bite point of the lever itself. And the reason for that is when you're riding like long descents, 20-minute descents and stuff, it's quite strenuous on your forearms and on your hands itself. And it's a stronger position for your hand to be in. When the brake lever is nearer to the bar, you've got like more mechanical advantage over it. So it's worth considering doing that. I mean, I know a lot of people don't like that and they like their brake levers to feel further away, but it's actually a weaker position to have your hand in. In addition to that, you've got to factor in grips. So grips are a completely personal preference thing. I really like a grip with a flange so I can lean up against that. And also I like quite a fat grip. Whereas back home for normal riding on regular trails, I like a thinner grip so I have more feel on the bike. But at bike park, you need all the padding you can just to really minimise that sort of shake and vibration. It's all about minimising that vibration and effort that's transmitted through to your arms. So if you can be nice and relaxed on the bike, you're in control, you don't have to hold on too tight, you're going to be able to ride faster for longer and be in more control. So saddle position is actually a really important one for the bike park. You don't really need your saddle too much, so hence I've got it slammed out the way on my seat post. Also, when I have to run a saddle at full height for my maximum leg extension, the top of the seat post is actually quite a bit higher. I've actually slammed it as far into the frame that I can and obviously dropped it. You want to get the saddle out of the way because it obviously makes the bike handle a lot better on the steeper stuff. But of course I can still run it up again, so I can transitional stages, anywhere I need to pedal, it's there. Final contact point to talk about is the pedals. Now this is a completely personal preference thing here. Many people choose to run a flat pedal in bike parks for the obvious reason they're really good fun, they're good if you like to jump and play around with stuff. Like I know Blake is a huge fan of flat pedals. I really like clip pedals and that's for a few reasons. Obviously you've got the security, your feet aren't going to bounce off the pedals, which is more important on an enduro style bike because you haven't got that extra cush that you have on a big downhill bike. But also, there's a big thing that people do forget with clipless pedals, is the fact that you don't have to pay attention to what your feet are doing on the pedals makes it a lot easier on your arms. You can take a lot of the bike's weight on your feet, so your upper body is more relaxed. And I've always found if I do runs on clips compared to flats in a bike park, I'll feel way less tired if I'm running clipless pedals. So again, that's my personal preference to do that, but there is no right or wrong for this. And you also might notice on here, I've got a full chain guide on the bottom here. Well, got upper chain guide and it's got like a tacho bash plate. Now, I probably wouldn't need to run one of these at home, I'd just run an upper guide, but having a bash plate is really beneficial, especially at Whistler, because at the top of the park, there's so much loose rock that flies around. I've had it in the past with damaged chains and stuff, so it's just that extra little bit of security. And it does also mean if you're running some of the tighter, more technical tracks, you've got that protection as well, where you're going over logs and drops and things. It's a pretty sensible idea to have on your bike. Okay, so now the contact points of the bike are done, I just want to run you through the wheels and the brakes and more control elements of the bike. So I'm running a big 200mm disc on the front here, and I'm running a 180 on the back. I don't normally run a disc as big as this on my enduro bike, I tend to run 180s front and rear. Again, that is a personal preference thing, but running a bigger front disc does make sense to me. You ride the front brake quite a lot for braking power, especially on those longer descents. It really helps with your control. Tyres, of course, are a personal preference thing, and you have to factor in a bike park, you are going to be riding rougher terrain a lot faster than you normally do. So I tend to run a tubeless setup, and I do run inserts inside my tyres as well, just like a foam insert to help protect the rim against those inevitable rock strikes. They don't really weigh too much, and they do just give you that peace of mind. But because of the foam itself, you end up running a little bit more sealant as well. No bad thing, it just gives you a bit more puncture resistance, but don't forget to carry an inner tube with you as well, because if you slash the tyre carcass, which is likely, you're walking pretty much. Now let's just look at my suspension setup. Now I'm running 4 volume spacers in here. A lot of people don't like to run that many. I do like a really progressive fork. I like it to sit in that mid-stroke, like sit up nicely. And I'm running this with 25% sag. I would normally run 30%, but I want it to just sit a bit higher for those long descents. And then out back on the shock, I'm running 6 bands in that Monarch Plus shock. And the reason for that is, again, I want it to really ramp up towards the end of the stroke, and I'm running that with 30% sag. So the bike just sits biased towards the back. And that really is just because you're spending most of your time on such a steep gradient of terrain, just to keep the bike that bit more composure for the rough stuff. The eagle-eyed amongst you might have spotted I'm running an angle set in here. Effectively what that is angled headset cups, just so you can slacken or steepen the head angle. Now, the head angle on the Nukeproof Mega 290 like this one is 66 degrees, which is absolutely fine for a 29er. But again, just for running the big mountain stuff, chairlift runs, I just want that little bit extra wheelbase and just a little bit extra on the head angle. So this is with a 1 degree cup on here. I don't want to go too far. Just running 65 degrees, and the bike just sits so well, and that is a perfect setup for me. The final thing to take into account with any bike that you're going to ride in a bike park, especially a place like Whistler, is a bit of frame protection. So you're going to get constant flying rocks, which are going to chip your paint away and stuff like that. But also bikes on chairlifts, you get accidents where top tubes rub against each other, brake levers do. Even your knee pads can rub your top tube mat. So on this particular bike, I've got a bit of heli tape all along the top tube here. I've got the crank cover caps here, just on the end. Little rubber caps just to protect them for those inevitable rock strikes. And of course I've got a nice heavy duty rubber chainstay protector and a bit more on the inside of the seat stay. So just take into account when riding your bike in a bike park, it's going to age it prematurely. So just look after your pride and joy. Hopefully this video has given you some great ideas on setting up your enduro bike for bike park riding. Don't forget to click on the globe here to subscribe for more videos, brand new video every single day. Click down here if you want to see enduro bike versus downhill bike. That's a really useful one to know about. And also click down here to find out about stashing stuff on your bike with Greg Callahan. Finally, don't forget, give us a thumbs up if you like the video.